Hi, everyone. I'm Anna Lau, and I'm a professor in the psychology department at UCLA, and I hold the position of vice chair in graduate studies. So, the psychology department PhD program is a really big, vibrant program. It covers 7 major areas in psychology. Includes behavioral neuroscience, clinical psychology, cognitive psychology, developmental psychology, health psychology, quantitative psychology, and social psychology. So really, we're one department, but we focus on a variety of areas of psychological science. And UCLA being a premier research university, for the most part, students come to us to get the best scientific training. And so many of our graduates go on to academic psychology positions, but certainly not all. So we do really prioritize training and research and teaching and scholarship. But in addition to kind of the professorial career trajectory, we also have students who end up going into all types of industry and applications of psychological science. So everything from, social media to online dating services to certainly the provision of mental health care in communities, as well as leadership, policy, and entities that strive to, really improve the human experience in terms of supporting positive child development, for example. So folks going into the nonprofit or public sector service as well. So we're really proud of our graduates, but what they get from us is really the cornerstone in studying psychological science to promote a variety of societal goals. So for the clinical psychology PhD program, which is the program that gets the most applications for our graduate school, our graduate programs, we often get asked what are the career objectives that we kind of support students toward. And we're really clear that we are in the business of training clinical scientists. It's a clinical science model. So really we concentrate our efforts on developing students in their ability to carry out research and scholarship that pertains to clinical psychology and mental health. We definitely have a strong clinical training program, though, where individuals get a lot of practical training in the delivery of psychotherapy and psychological assessment. But we do definitely emphasize to applicants that folks really want to, we really are our program is designed to train clinical scientists and not people who are clearly interested in a primarily practice-oriented career. So the process of applying to a program begins with our application deadline, which is December 1st. And folks they apply directly to one graduate program within our department, one of the 7. And we have an interview process that typically happens early in the winter, so in January, with selection and decisions happening, mid-February or so, for a fall start date. So for a fall quarter start date. And then our program itself is, I would say, 5 to 6 years of graduate study. Our average time to degree is about 5 to 6. It's 6 for the clinical program because students do 1 year of clinical professional training prior to the receipt of the PhD. Students our graduate students across the department, they do pick up a master's degree along the way after the completion of a thesis and a master's level coursework. But we don't have a terminal master's program, meaning that we don't have a way of applying just to get a master's degree in psychology. The program is designed to be a doctoral program. And typically a student's time in the program, there's a lot of coursework that happens in the first, I'd say 2 to 3 years. But along the way, really, again, with our focus on developing research skills and research scholarship, students spend a lot of time in the lab and developing their own program of research under the advisement, typically of a primary research advisor, member of the faculty, and many students have multiple research advisors or faculty mentors in the department. So generally, folks are right off the bat pursuing an area of research that they've identified as a focus, even prior to coming to graduate school. And the best prepared and most successful applicants to our program really have pursued research at the undergraduate level. Many of them have also spent some time after getting their undergraduate degree pursuing post-bachelor's research. And we think that's a good idea for a couple of reasons, just to really make sure that your passion is in psychological science and that you've identified a focal area that you want to devote your studies to during a PhD program. So round about by the fourth year of the program, folks are proposing their dissertation, and the dissertation really is a research study or set of studies that really identifies what your specialization, what your area of expertise is going to be, and that's really a culminating. It's a big achievement as part of the PhD. It's the main research product of the PhD program is the dissertation. And then we typically, like I said, see people complete the PhD by the end of the 5th year or the 6th year if you're doing clinical training. So the great thing about being at one of the top doctoral research programs in psychology and in most R1 institutes, research-intensive institutes, is that unlike your undergraduate degree, you're often paid to go to grad school. And that's the case for our PhD program in psychology. Not only are your fees and tuition covered if you're admitted to the program, but also you can expect to receive a stipend funding your time in graduate school. You will not be rich by any means. Our financial package includes a guarantee of 5 years of funding that covers your tuition and fees, and also a 12-year minimum stipend. It's not 12-year, 12-month minimum stipend of $27,000. And students may be funded to that amount from fellowships for doing research in your mentor's lab and or teaching assistantships and helping to teach and mentor undergraduates in our department. Okay, some of the questions that we get asked a lot when students are considering applying to our PhD program is when they should apply. I touched on this a little bit. Oftentimes, students are really eager to make a transition straight from undergrad, so applying as a senior in college to PhD programs. And for some areas of psychology, that's still a common pathway. But I would say for most of our for many of our graduate programs, some amount of time doing post-baccalaureate research is typical. And so I think that makes your application more competitive, because folks reviewing your application sort of understand the seriousness of purpose of your dedication to research, and you also tend to have a much more specific interests, and a more sort of informed set of reasons for applying to our program or any program in particular. So that is common to have 1 to 2 years of post-bachelor's research under your belt before applying. Another common question that we get, this is, about the clinical program, is, and that's a very popular program. We get a large number of applications, which of course creates additional sort of pressures and selectivity for clinical psychology programs than maybe some other areas of psychology. And folks are interested in whether, they should focus their preparation time on, getting clinical types of training experiences, research training experiences. And I would say that our program, because it's a clinical science model, probably really emphasizing your research preparation and the clarity of your interests and the relationship of your preparation to the types of research that you're interested in doing here in our graduate program. So focus and fit become an issue. So again, having that time and really tailoring your application to our department is really important. And then as far as clinical training goes, students really sort of have to demonstrate that they do have a genuine interest in clinical training. So some amount of experience, whether it be in being involved in clinical types of research, or sort of more, maybe it's peer mentoring, maybe it's sort of community service that has a lot of interface with caring for others. And then there certainly are a lot of things we commonly see, like peer helplines, and those sorts of experiences are good to see and show that commitment. Another question that's been coming up a lot lately is the requirement to take and sit for the GRE for consideration for admission to our PhD program in psychology. We did suspend this requirement this past year because of the pandemic and the difficulties in being able to sit for the GRE. So we definitely did not require that last year. And we don't know yet whether that requirement will be reinstated for this coming application cycle. So I would encourage folks to check back on our website, www.psych.ucla.edu, and navigate to the graduate admissions page to check back about those details that will be forthcoming. So I really encourage folks to navigate to the psychology department webpage and explore the different the 7 different graduate programs that we offer. And even within those areas of psychology, there are actually multiple majors, graduate majors that you can elect. So definitely check that out. We also have minor concentrations in diversity science and in health psychology and in quantitative psychology for people to elect a different major. The other suggestion that I would have is to really, explore the areas that you think that you're interested in, whether it's behavioral neuroscience or developmental, and really look at the faculty and look at what the faculty are studying and doing in their labs. And many faculty have very, very informative lab websites. And some of them even have FAQs for what you should know about applying to their lab in particular. So I would definitely do that because a lot of the graduate school experience is really going to depend on what lab you're admitted to and who your mentors are. Psychological science is a really big, vast, and growing area of science, and we study a really, really diverse range of topics. And so you really can't be a total generalist in psychological science in graduate school. So really starting to explore what are my key interests, and more specifically, what are the types of projects and questions being asked in these labs, because our primary training emphasis is in the development of scientists. You're really going to want to find that good fit for yourself. I think there's a real reason why psychology is one of the most popular undergraduate majors around the country. It is an area of science that is really inherently fascinating. It has really important implications and applications for the betterment of society and people's health. So, I think if you're thinking about graduate school in psychology, it's probably because you have a passion for it, and a real curiosity, and a wish to contribute to that body of knowledge. So I think it's wonderful if you feel inspired to explore graduate studies in psychology. And I would just say, if you love your work, you never work a day in your life. Graduate school is really hard work. So you have to be for very little money. So you have to be pretty sure that it is something that you're passionate about. So really encourage you, if you're not already, involved in research, to really seek out those opportunities to learn about and experience whether research in psychology is for you, because you really do want to be pretty sure about that before applying. And I wish you all the best of luck, and go Bruins.